It's been a while since I built a new trap, so this week on our Scrap Mechanic SMP, I decided to use a part that otherwise has no use. That part is the cow udder that sits on top of the sunshake machines. I've built drop traps in the past, but they require concrete or metal, but since we only had a few days in this new world, we had way more wood than either of those. So I decided to use the wood, along with the cow udders, to make 3 drop traps around our makeshift farm. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build them, how they work, and show you them in action against a decent sized raid. If you end up finding this video helpful, please like, share, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Let's get started. So the sunshake machines look like this, and you're going to find them around the map. They randomly spawn in at the produce stands that are along the road. So if you just drive along the road, you'll come across some produce stands. It's just wooden shacks, and they oftentimes have anywhere from like 1 to 3 of these sunshake machines, and on top of them are pink cow udders. And what we're going to do is we're going to go outside real quick and look at the cow udders attached to the drop traps. Then we're going to plant our crops and run our raid. So these are the cow udders. They sit on top of the sunshake machines. You can take them apart. Now what we tried with them first was we put them along the front of the fence, and they can end up getting broken because they have a durability of 6, so it might take a couple hits for them to get broken, but I decided instead of doing that, let's just build the walls out of some of the concrete that we had, because we did have a little bit of concrete, so this gives us a little more protection than the wood. And then we're going to put the cow udders up here. So the way this works is we have the cow udders attached to bearings on the drop trap. The drop trap comes down. The drop trap is attached to pistons. The one in the front has 2 pistons in order to keep it pretty stable. The ones on the side only have 1 piston because they're shorter and they only have 4 cow udders. Cow udders are attached to the bearings, which are attached to electric engines. You can use gas engines or electric engines. I just kind of prefer gas engines for these things. It doesn't really matter because gas is pretty easy to get. And as you can see, our watering system's a little busted. We'll fix that real quick in a second. So there's a gas engine that powers these. I had to use 2 gas engines because there's so many cow udders, and we also need the pistons powered, as well as these saw blades. The saw blades are kind of here just to keep the bots from standing in the corners, because what they'll end up doing sometimes, they'll just stand here. So they don't like the saw blades, even if they're not on. They will try to avoid them, and then they'll go more to the center here. And one other tip, I have the cow udders spinning in opposite directions. Not sure if that makes much of a difference, but I kind of thought maybe if they're spinning in opposite directions, they'll pull them in. And I did try this trap with the cow udders on and off. It seems to work better with them on. You probably could do it with them off, but I definitely think it works better with them on. And then one last tip for this build. If you plant a single crop out here in the front, like so, it will attract bots to it because it's an unprotected crop. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to come in here and we're going to plant our crops. So we're going to plant 20 tomatoes and 30 carrots. So we got 50 crops total. This is probably a normal size farm for someone who's just starting out. Maybe you've been playing the game for a little bit. I'm doing this because we need these crops for sandwiches. So we're going to plant these and we're going to water them. And then we will show you the trap in action. Now, I got to fix the watering machine. I'll do that in a second. Real quick, what I wanted to show you was how to get up to the trap. So I put a hole in here. It's easier to get up to it. So we have a seat up here, and what we do is we have these 2 switches connected to the seat. Switch number 1 lowers the traps and raises the traps so they go up and down. They're all set to the same speed and they're all set to the same height. And then the second switch turns the udders on. So what we do is we wait for them to spawn in, we turn the udders on, and bam, we just slam it down on them, bring it back up. And the only minor flaw this can have is, and it probably won't happen now because I'm up top, is sometimes they will spawn, the hay bots were getting on top of this. That was more when I had the switches down here and I couldn't see what's happened. Since they've been up here, they tend to not get up here, but every once in a while you might get a bot that gets on top of the drop traps. So anyway, I'm going to fix this watering system really quickly. This has been happening lately. I'm not sure why. What ends up happening is this thing breaks. We're definitely going to need this in order to get our... Hopefully this pushes it up. Yep. So we're going to fix... Let's get our wood out. Bam, we got some wood here. So if your traps ever, if anything ever breaks, especially the watering system, this seems to happen to the watering systems a lot. You can just kind of do this, fix it, and what's going to end up happening is it should drop back into place. And yeah, it's good to go. So now we're just going to, bam, water the crops. And as you can see, the raid timer has appeared. So we have 8 minutes until the raid. And let's make sure this hits the first row. So we're good to go. The crops are watered. So we're going to have 50 crops. We're probably not, the raid's not going to be terribly large, but it should be big enough. It should have some hay bots and tote bots, because it is 50 crops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead so you guys don't have to sit here and wait for 8 minutes, and then we will show you the raid in action. And one other thing real quick, I did put a lighting system on here just to make it easier for you guys to see. So you may not have to do this. It depends on where it's set up. I did this just so it's easier to see. So we have this lighting system that kind of lights up everything. So yeah, let's skip ahead about 7 minutes until the raid's about to start, and we'll be right back. We're back with about 15 seconds ago. I threw some glow sticks out just so you could see what was the darker areas. And the mobs are going to spawn anywhere from this water over here all the way over to that peninsula over there. It's completely random where they spawn in, so let's see what happens. Once again, we're going to raise it up and down, and we're going to turn the udders on. So we got some tote bots, and we got some hay bots. Good news, we have both kinds. So we're going to be able to see this trap in action. And this one's getting close by, so he doesn't like the saw blade. Got to let him get close. Bam, smashed. Kind of just want to go up and down with it. So not sure what this guy on the left's doing. We've killed all of them except... Okay, this guy's gotten closer, and it looks like we took care of all of them. I don't see any more. Just make sure. Sometimes they get stuck on stuff, so let's make sure there's none stuck out here before we start picking up the resources. Yeah, none of them spawned over there this time. Every once in a while they get weird and they get stuck over here behind these pipes, just because where the farm's located. And component kit, nice. So as you can see, that worked perfectly. Now, a couple things I did mention before was you want to make sure that you have the drop traps as close to your wall as possible, but you don't want it hitting the wall. So I think I have about a 2-space gap on each side. So you can see there's 2 blocks here, and then if you go straight up here, they're 2 blocks out. So that way it hits everything that gets up here. And we ended up having 1, 2, not a terribly large, whoops, not a terribly large raid, but decent size. And again, this is a great trap if you're just starting out and you're only going to get hay bots and tote bots. So we got four, what is that? 4 hay bots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 3 component kits too. That's pretty, 2 component kits, plus the one from that crate over there. So that's not too bad. And that was a pretty easy raid to deal with there, right? We used absolutely no ammo. We didn't have to swing our hammer. And we'll do a quick walk around. I don't think any blocks were broken. The one on the side over here did get a little weird. Not sure what he was doing. Yeah, we didn't lose any blocks because I don't have the bottom blocks built around here. So this one guy over here, I don't know what his deal was. He was kind of standing here for a second. He hesitated. Then he came in. Maybe he knew his fate was short-lived. They did break this crop, which is fine. You can use 1 seed here. Like I said, it'll try to keep them in here. And you may or may not have noticed, the ones that came in on an angle here, what ends up happening is if they come near the saw blade, even if it's not on, they do not like saw blades, I don't think. Or at least they didn't used to. Maybe it is better to turn them on. I mean, it's not that hard. Just have it sitting on a bearing and have it attached to one of the motors and then just give it a space to spin. But when they walk up to the saw blade, what they do is they kind of like bounce off of it, so they don't want to touch it, so they just kind of try to move forward without touching it, and then they'll either go over here or over here, right in line with our drop traps, and we took care of them pretty easily. So yeah, that's a pretty simple drop trap, kind of using, like I said, using the cow udders, which is a part that I don't think I haven't seen anybody else use it. Maybe they have, I just haven't seen anybody else use it before. And honestly, up to this point, I never even thought about using it. In fact, most of the time, we just usually left the sunshake machines and the cow udders behind while we were taking all the wood from the little produce stands. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Also, I will be streaming Scrap Mechanic a few days a week if you want to see some live gameplay on YouTube and or Twitch. Link for my Twitch is down in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.